One. Well, good Thursday morning.
Yeah, one day closer to Friday.
Yeah. I'm Kelly Knapp.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
I had to think about it for a second. Like, wait, is today? No, wait. Today is Thursday, right?
No,
Today's Wednesday.
today's Wednesday.
Oh, jeez. I'm having a moment.
I think I started it this morning.
Yeah.
I said something about Thursday.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
You're
Okay,
right.
I'm
It is
sorry. I'm
Wednesday.
sorry, everybody. It is Wednesday. Wow.
It's
Maybe,
been a
maybe I
long
need to
week
go back to bed.
already.
Yes, it has been. It's just been a week, very stressful week. But okay. Well, anyway, so good Wednesday morning to
It's
everyone.
hump day.
Yes.
Hump day.
Yep. So I hope everyone's doing well. We didn't really get the rain that the forecast had said that we were
Yeah.
going to get.
Well, they're talking about some rain coming in Friday, a
Mhm.
low pressure system developing in the
Mhm.
Gulf and coming across. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
We'll see about that. Yeah.
Everything. One thing about living in North Carolina, you learn that they could tell you have rain coming and you may not even see it for a week. So,
Well, the rain we did have in the past killed my cucumbers.
mine too.
So aggravated.
I pulled
Yeah.
up the plant and just
I
dumped
need
the
to. I need
dirt.
to just go do that because they've got the cucumbers that were on the vine
Right.
turned yellow. It's just
Yeah, it was too much
so
rain after
yeah.
having a very hot,
Mhm.
summer, and you
Mhm.
can water them every morning, but it just never seems to be enough water. I even
Mhm.
put nutrients in there,
Mhm.
everything, but the cucumbers did not do well.
No, mine. So I just need to dump them.
I do have a
Yeah.
lot of celery though.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it all. I think I'm going to dehydrate it and use it for, soups and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I've never grown celery, so I thought I'd try it. And I have probably about 12 stalks of it, getting high.
I've been
So,
told celery is easy to grow. My dad used to grow it when we were kids.
well, I've never thought about it, and I just happened to see it one day at the
Mhm.
store, and I was like, "Oh, we'll try it." So
Mhm.
it's growing good, and it's not had any issues with that. I have a small cherry tomato plant that's just blossoming like
Mhm.
crazy, and then I had another tomato plant that I just ended up having to take up because it just would not do anything, and it was just
Yeah,
constantly. It
I
was
had
just
two
not a
that
good plant.
they didn't do well. So
But other than that, we're getting towards the time of the year where it's probably time to plant some winter stuff like squash. Senator Richard's always telling us, Richard
mhm.
Crowder, go ahead, you can start planting squash and stuff for the winter and have your own winter crop. So
I don't know if thought about doing it, but now I'm not so
I
sure.
think I
I'm
might go get.
discouraged by the whole cucumber thing. My cantaloupes are doing well, and I probably shouldn't have said that, so I'm sure I just jinxed
See,
that
I haven't
issue.
tried cantaloupe yet, but I did one year try watermelon, and
Mhm.
I grew one watermelon, and it started really getting big. And before I could pick it, the birds had got to it. So
Well, I
I'm
bought
just like,
one of
forget it.
those owls,
Yes, I have an owl too in the
and I
backyard.
stuck it in my by my plant. And
Yeah.
so far, so good.
I probably should have moved
Yeah.
mine over there
Yeah.
too, but I have mine close to the back porch because of the birds were constantly
Mhm.
coming in, just sitting around at the
Mhm.
back porch and keep it, and their droppings were all over. So I
Yeah.
just finally had to get rid of those or
Yeah.
make them go elsewhere.
Yeah. I understand. So, anything new going on locally?
Going on locally, I really haven't heard much locally. I know that you as well as we're on the ring alert
Yep.
text. And we were both looking this morning where we had gotten alerts over in the DeWitt area.
Mhm.
About 3 o'clock this morning, somebody had it on the ring doorbell of a young man that was out trying to open car doors.
Mhm.
It just never seems to end around Jacksonville
Yeah.
with people out in the middle of the morning out trying, to get into vehicles. So please keep your vehicles locked and don't keep any valuables in there.
Mhm.
If you have anything, don't keep it in view.
Yeah.
Hide them.
I don't know why you'd keep anything in your vehicle anyway, but yeah,
There's people that
I
keep
know.
weapons and
Mhm.
money and wallets and all sorts of stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
why?
Yeah,
If you get broken into, it's just not a good place for them to be.
I agree. It did come out yesterday that JPD officer XY Brown has
Oh,
been selected to get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah.
absolutely. That is wonderful news.
He's the oldest police officer in the department and is thought to be the oldest police officer in the entire United States.
Did they give his age?
No, but
I think he's in his
I
90s,
had
isn't
heard
he?
90s. Project Lead is giving out the Lifetime Achievement Award called the White Lotus Award at an annual awards ceremony at the Wilmington Convention Center on September 24th.
I tell you
Yeah.
what, that man has been an asset to this community. He's just so dedicated to what
Mhm.
he does. Very, very, very nice man. He loves his job. But I will tell you one thing. On school mornings
That man is scary.
when he's directing traffic at
He
Northwoods
Yeah,
Elementary,
you
I
better
go
have it
the opposite
together.
way.
Yes, you better have it together. He will put
If
some
you
serious
go
fear in you.
1 inch over that stop line,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a lecture.
You get yelled at, and it's
Yes.
like your parent yelling at you. It's scary.
He scares me.
Yes.
And I will go the opposite way. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not going through that line. Oh, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
because it would be my luck that
Mhm.
he would stop me first and I would be too close to that
And
line.
it's embarrassing.
It
It's like
is.
I mean, it is awesome. I've sat there and watched him do it before, but I didn't want to be that person
Oh, I
that was
never
the
wanted to be
recipient
that
of his
person. He
berating. Yeah,
scares
he's
me.
scary. It's a good guy.
He's a
Yeah.
great guy, though.
Yeah.
I applaud him.
Well,
Hey,
and the other thing is 4 other members in Onslow County community are also being recognized by Project Lead.
that's
Dr.
great.
Linda Gary from the Mount Carmel Helps CEO. I
Oh,
don't know if you
yes, I know her. Yes.
Takenia
Well, I know
Labirato
of
of
her.
Onslow Memorial Hospital,
Mhm.
Nelson Pete Burgess, a local businessman, and Barbara Holden. And apparently, Project Lead is a statewide organization that says it works to bridge socioeconomic gaps and strengthen communities through leadership and education. Wow. Well,
That's
good
awesome.
for Officer
Well,
Brown.
congratulations to
Yes,
all
to all of
the
them.
nominees, recipients,
Absolutely.
That is just awesome news.
Yeah.
It's nice to see people who do so much for our area
Yes. Yes,
recognized
yes.
for their
I
good
agree.
work.
Yep. So,
That's just it. Hey, remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the story of the co-pilot of an aircraft that
yes.
jumped from the airplane?
Mhm.
And it was right there in the Raleigh-Durham area?
Yeah.
Well, the National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary report on the crash
Mhm.
just yesterday. The plane's pilot in command told federal investigators that his co pilot became visibly upset about the hard landing after they diverted to another airport. The report said the pilot lowered the ramp in the back of the airplane, then removed his headset, apologized, and jumped.
I mean,
I, I, I,
how I just don't understand why you would be so upset that you're going to jump out of.
I
I
think
have a
I'd rather
lot
take
of
my
questions.
chances with a hard landing than jump from the back of an airplane.
Yes.
When the story came out, we all thought it was something
We
was a
thought it
little
was wacky.
unusual.
Yeah. And one of the things that I did read right after this happened, there was some kind of cockpit recording device. So
Right.
they would have been able to hurt, because I thought, man, were they fighting in the plane and the guy threw the guy out? Like, there's just a whole lot of
Right.
questions. I cannot fathom you being that upset because you, quote, may have damaged some wheels. Like, that just, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
how,
See,
I mean, that's taking your
23-year-old.
job to a whole nother level of seriousness.
It took the life of
Yeah.
23-year-old Charles Hugh Crooks.
And his family couldn't understand it. I
I,
mean,
yeah, that is just so strange.
I, this is just bizarre. It is very bizarre to me.
It is very
Yeah.
bizarre. I mean, we kind of all, like, we discussed it and we kind of felt like there was, like a little something to the
Mhm.
story there. And of course, the other pilot was not talking at the time, which I understand that. But for the National Transportation Safety Board to investigate it that quick and come back. And I'm sure, like, if he did open the back door, it would show on the instrument.
Well, also
It
that
would show.
recording would have picked it all up
Right.
too. It would have picked up every. I
Right.
mean, the plane's not huge. It's not like it's, 747.
Right.
So you would have been able to hear whether that guy was in the back of the plane or up front. You would have been able to hear the conversation between them two. I mean, I just I don't get it. I just, wow. I don't know what to say. Why, it's a big old wow.
It is kind of
Yeah.
strange, isn't
Yeah.
it? It is very strange. I don't know. I would have never. I mean, we were all sitting trying to wonder, why did he jump out?
Well, also, there was a story that happened actually in South Carolina, but it prompted a writer to investigate North Carolina and South Carolina. So apparently, in Lancaster, South Carolina, on Monday, um, a toddler, was hospitalized. They got shot in the torso at an apartment there,
Oh my
and
goodness.
and they're not really saying a lot, but they've kind of alluded that this was clearly accidental, like a kid getting a gun,
Right.
having access to it, or finding one laying around, or whatever occurred. So they were saying that in the Carolinas, and they're encompassing North Carolina and South Carolina in this, since 2015, there have been 163 unintentional shootings by children that have resulted in injury or death in both states. So they started looking at, to safeguard, against children getting
Right.
access. They wanted to see what kind of laws we had both here and in South Carolina related to child access. And what they uncovered was one of the things I did know. So in North Carolina, the state law says that anyone who lives with a minor and stores a firearm in a place where that minor could gain access to it, like the table, a drawer,
Yes.
anywhere that a child could reasonably access it, without the guardian's permission, the adult can be charged with a class 3 misdemeanor if the child displays the firearm in a public place in a careless, angry, or threatening manner, causes personal injury or death to someone not in self-defense, or uses it to commit a crime. Now, it really doesn't say that if they accidentally shoot themselves. I don't know if that second one, causes personal injury or death to someone not in self-defense, counts. In my mind, it does, but people interpret the law differently. So a class 3 misdemeanor in North Carolina carries a maximum penalty of 10 days in jail and a fine of $200. Well, that's not a lot, but
$200.
that's terrible. But in South Carolina, apparently, they don't even have a law that parents cannot be held liable if the children gain access to them stores. So neither state apparently has a law that requires gun owners to keep their firearms locked in a secure place. I did not know that. I thought we did, but
Yeah.
I did not know that. But this is weird. Federal law does not allow firearm dealers to sell guns to buyers who do not have gun storage or safety devices. So that got me wondering, is there a box? And I don't remember. And I bought guns, and I just can flat out tell you, I just don't remember. Because we do have a gun safe. So, is there a box you check that says, do you have a way to lock it? I just don't, I literally don't remember.
Recall seeing that.
But if it says federal law does not allow firearm dealers to sell guns to buyers, well, how do they know? Do you ask a question? Like seriously, how would the gun dealers know that a person does or does not
I guess
have
it's
it?
one of those
Is it a
questions,
box?
And then if something
Yeah.
happens later on down the road and they pull your application and they see you falsified it, but to me that's kind of trivial and kind of hard to prove in
Mhm.
court, because you could say, yes, I did have one, I broke it, threw it away. One's
Yeah,
out to get a new
exactly.
one.
I mean, how
Whatever.
would you know? So how would they enforce that? Because there's a discrepancy between federal and state once again.
Right.
But my question becomes, how do you know? But I mean, a lot of people are like negligent, leaving guns laying on tables. Where you can't. Children are very curious in general.
Right.
But look
Yes,
at
they
all the
are.
video games they play, and and
And it's
and it
all
desensitizes them a lot of times to
shootings
guns.
and yes,
And
exactly.
let's be clear, I like guns and I have a whole bunch of guns. So
Yes.
there's that.
I
So
I
I'm not
might I
I'm not
might have
bashing.
some.
Yeah, I'm not saying how many I have or even what kind. Um, but I am also fearful of guns, believe it
Right.
or not, and I also know not to leave a gun laying around where my sweet prince
Exactly.
grandson could get a
Yes.
hold of it. I
I
mean,
mean, mine
that's what
are
gun safes are for.
mine are
Locking cabinet, put it in
I
something.
know where mine are in
Yeah,
the house. It would
same.
take someone they'd have to completely tear everything out of the house to find them, but and of course I carry, you know,
Mhm,
and like we both carry in the
mhm,
studio. We
mhm.
come to work, we're carrying, but um you know, my former husband and I were the original owners of Sportsman's Lodge here
Correct.
in
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yep. I
We
knew
built
that.
that store.
Mhm,
And one of the courses I taught was an NRA course for children, teaching children if they come across a gun,
mhm,
what do they do? Don't touch, go get a
mhm.
parent.
Yeah.
So we taught a lot of those safety courses at the lodge when we owned that because, I felt it was very important to teach children to how not to touch a gun.
Mhm.
And as they got older, of course, we had classes for older children, to familiarize them with how a gun works and, and safety on it. So, and it's just like I was talking to Rayford one morning, it was the last week, we were talking about going to get your concealed weapons permit.
Mhm.
And I asked him, I said, of course, with Rayford, it was different. um, like when I took the course, we really didn't go into a lot of safety
I don't
aspects on it.
remember. It's been a long time since
It
I
was
took
just
the
more or
course.
less the laws dealing with when you can
I
shoot
remember the
somebody and
laws. I don't
right.
remember a gun safety now that you say that. I just literally do
Look,
not
when it was
remember.
time to go to the range, he
Yeah.
said, "Who wants to go first?" I said, "Let me," because I wanted to shoot and get out because there was people there that had never shot
Same.
a weapon before, and I didn't want to be around them.
There's some people in the class I
Did not
took,
want to be there.
that the way they were handling a gun made me. I kept wanting to duck. I mean,
Yes,
you don't point your gun at somebody ever. You don't
right,
walk around with your hand on the trigger. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things you don't do. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't
right.
remember going first, but I remember thinking, "Oh my,"
And
I think I
nowadays,
hung back and
yeah,
like,
when you buy
yeah,
weapons nowadays, if it's a brand new one,
hmm
not one from a pawn shop, I'm saying, but you go in and buy a brand new one from a gun store, the lock comes with it.
hmm
So, and there's so many ways. I know that back in the day, I used to take my handcuffs and take my weapon and open it and then put my handcuffs on it so it
hmm
could not be shut, it could not be closed. So that's another, neat way to
yeah.
keep them safe.
But
But
I didn't realize though, like I said, I did, maybe our laws need to be strengthened, but maybe there needs to be more awareness for adults that, because look at how many stories we've had of kids that have like that lady that got shot and killed when her kid opened her
yes,
purse up in the store
yes.
and grabbed the gun out.
Oh,
I mean,
that's not good at
they
all.
make concealed carry purses, believe it or
That's
not. I
right.
actually have one.
Yes, I did too.
So they do make those. But you have to start, young, don't touch. But kids, like I said, become very desensitized because of, video games and whatnot.
Right.
So it's just not real to them, or it's just because in movies and cartoons and video, especially a cartoon, like, when I was a kid, I watched Looney Tunes a lot, Bugs Bunny, Road
Right.
Runner, and all that. They would
Yes.
get, blown up, whatever, and then they bounce right back. So kids often have that, perception that you don't get hurt.
Well, with the way that our social media has increased over the
Mhm,
decade and gaming
mhm,
has increased, and
mhm.
even like on TikTok, you can get on a TikTok live where somebody's doing gaming and watching some of the stuff is so violent.
I've had a few kid clients that have come in, and their gaming has gotten so out of control. They're having anxiety, stress, anger
I can
issues. I've
imagine.
had to sit the parents down and like, we've got to come up with a schedule, and monitor what your kids are games your kids are playing. I am so sorry to say this, but a 7-year old, 8-year old does not need to be playing Grand Theft Auto. And
Yes.
if you don't know what Grand Theft Auto is, watch it online somewhere. And I personally don't think a 13-year-old needs to be playing it. It's I have issues with that game. But matter of fact, I don't even think some adults need to be playing it, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean,
I
this is all
agree.
about, parenting and monitoring. All right,
Right.
let's take a break. 910-333-0139. If you have anything you want to talk about this morning, we will be having a guest come in a little while. But also, when we come back after weather, I will tell you about a web page I stumbled on.
Oh,
I showed
no.
Lee, she got upset with me
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
It's
mm-mm.
local. You guys are gonna be
I've
like,
got my feet
"Whoa."
up on a
Yeah,
stool, let's
yeah,
just say
same here because
that.
it gave me I even got, like, chills on it, but I didn't realize it was taking place so close to Oslo County.
Right.
It's both interesting and kind of super creepy.
It
So,
is.
all right, you're live and local real talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM WSME. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back, and it's time for some weather. So, Lee, take
It
it
sure
away.
is. Fall may be right around the corner, but the waters remain warm enough to enjoy tubing and water skiing. The really good news is that Tideline Marine has a sale on water toys going on right now. With towable tubes marked down, you might want to take advantage of the savings and stock up for the Christmas gift giving season. If you think you want to buy a new John boat or a Bay boat, Tideline has a sale for any new boat currently in stock. $5,000 off any new boat that you buy between now and the end of August. Then the sale ends August 31st, so you need to hurry on down. Along with the savings, Tideline will throw in a bag containing 4 life jackets. Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Today, northeast winds 15 to 20 knots with gust up to 25 knots, diminishing 10 to 15 with gust up to 20 knots this afternoon. Seas 2 to 4 feet except for 2 feet near the shoreline. Dominant period 4 seconds. Adjacent sounds will be choppy, diminishing to a moderate chop this afternoon. Thursday, northeast winds around 10 knots. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Dominant period 6 seconds. Adjacent sounds and rivers with a light chop. And Friday, southeast winds 5 to 10 knots. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Adjacent sounds and rivers with a light chop.
Today, slight chance of showers and maybe a thunderstorm between 2 and 5. Otherwise, then just a chance. I don't know what the difference is. Partly sunny, otherwise, high of 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 65. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 84. It's still good, though.
Yes, it is.
Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, low of 68. Oh, I like that too. Then on Friday, the rain chances ramp back up, mostly cloudy in between the rain they claim we're going to have with a high of 83.
We were just talking about
Yeah,
that.
we'll see if that actually occurs. In the studio this morning, we have Commissioner Royce Bennett. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Good morning, Royce. Royce is running for re-election, and he's on the ballot for November at the very bottom of the ballot.
That's right.
Yeah, you got the unlucky straw there, but I mean not unlucky, but you got the short straw.
Yeah, that's right.
But it didn't stop you
But
from
that's okay.
doing well in the primary. So
Yeah, they do it. They pick a letter. For those that don't know,
they draw numbers,
they
letters.
they
out
do
of a
letters.
box.
I was
Yes.
told they put the whole alphabet like in a basket, and they literally pull a letter out.
Yes.
And the letter they pull out is
Where
how
they
the
start,
ballot
yeah.
starts with that. So weird.
I know it
Yeah.
is weird.
Yeah.
I guess it's
But
the
I
only
can
fair way to
understand
do it.
that-
I
don't know.
guess
it's probably the only fair way.
I mean, to get because that way it gives everybody kind of a fair shot to have their
Right.
name at the top of the ballot. Yeah.
Right.
But
right.
yeah.
Mhm.
And they change it up from for the primary, and then they redraw, or they just keep
No,
it. So if
it's
No,
the
it's
it
same.
stays
it's
the
the same for that whole election
Right.
cycle. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know why I
So
thought they
he was
changed it.
bottom during the
Yeah.
primary,
Okay.
and bottom come November.
Yep. I had to check on that to make sure.
I
find
don't
out
know
if
why I
was gonna be
thought
on the
that.
bottom
I
again.
don't. Someone had
Yeah.
told me they switched it. Okay, well now I learned.
Well, that's
something.
why voter knowledge comes in handy. I mean, because Commissioner Bennett has been commissioner since 2016, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the job that he's done, along with the other fabulous commissioners that we have. And so that's something to definitely always consider when you're vetting your candidates. So whether he's on the top of the ballot or on the bottom of the ballot, just look for that name.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bennett with a B.
Mhm. So what? Obviously, the political season starting to ramp back up now. It's starting to kind of go into full gear. What are some of the things you are wanting to, let the public know about you for this election cycle?
Well, I mean, I'm always about trying to look after the taxpayer money. I say I start at the bottom when we budget. We budget from the bottom up, starting with
Right.
zero-based
Mhm.
budget, and I want to look after the taxpayers' money. I want to um, grow our economy because the only way to keep our tax rate low is to grow the tax base,
Mhm.
and we have to do that by growing our economy. And I work on community needs. Like I say over and over
You're on
again.
a lot of community
Right.
committees. You're on a lot of them.
Well, yeah, and the commissioners are people don't understand what commissioners do a lot of times, but the most basic services that you use in Onslow County are commissioner responsibilities: emergency medical services, fire services, um, health department, social services,
Mhm.
those things that help the most of our citizens are governed by the county commissioners. So
Yes.
it's important that we stay up with those things that are happening and stay in touch with the community. I do that by being involved in as many organizations and meetings as I possibly can, to try to stay in touch with people and get a chance to talk to people and find out what the concerns are.
What are some of the organizations that you're involved in?
Oh my goodness. So
I know he does Salvation Army.
Yeah,
Salvation
we know
Army.
Salvation Army.
I've been the chairman of the Salvation Army for about 15 years now. So um, this Salvation Army does a lot of great work in Onslow County. But
Yes, they do.
I was one of the founders on the founding board of the YMCA. I had
Yes.
I did that because I heard the citizens in 2016 talking about the need for
Yes.
Mhm.
for a
That was hot on the
YMCA,
ballot.
for
Yes.
a pool. They were
Mhm.
talking about a pool back in 2016, and I knew that the YMCA was a mechanism to possibly get there.
Right.
So I went on that board. I had to come off it about a year ago because the legislature passed a law that says I can't be on that board and advocate for
For
funding.
funding.
And county
Right.
funds some of the programs at YMCA. So I had to come off of that board,
Mhm.
but I'm still active with them. I still go. I went to a meeting yesterday morning.
Mhm.
I was at the YMCA meeting. I just can't vote.
Yeah.
I don't have
Right.
a,
I can
but
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, weren't you on the hospital board too?
I was on the hospital board. I expect I'll go back on next month.
And on WASA?
I'm on the WASA board. I'm vice chairman of WASA.
Wow.
I'm on the transportation board.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Again, the economic development partnership.
Mhm.
I had to go off of that board because we do fund economic
Right.
development. But
Mhm.
that's a big part of my platform, and it's a big part of what I stay involved
Mhm.
with.
Now, what's new as far as with the economic development that the county and the Joed are working together on? Anything new?
Well, there's a lot of great stuff going on in economic development. Our county's growing, and growing at a fast pace.
Yes, it is.
We're courting big businesses, particularly in the industrial park down in Holly Ridge. You've heard about Atlantic
Yes.
Seafood.
That
That
has
was
blossomed.
a great. I love it. Anytime we can poach a business from
Mhm.
Pender County, I'm
Oh, yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
That brought in 60,000 square foot building and 100 employees. But just recently we found out that we finally have access to the railroad. Again, another organization, the Board of Realtors. When I was president-elect of the Board of Realtors in 2012 is when I started working on this railroad project. So it's a 10-year project now
Right.
to finally get to the point where we have commercial access to that rail line.
Which would be a huge
Where is
benefit.
this rail line at exactly?
It's the railroad that comes across 24 at Piney Green.
Okay, that's that one.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it
Okay.
goes from here to Havelock. And,
Okay.
and we've never had commercial access to it. Now, that's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Mhm.
And that's because it's on the base. It goes through the base property.
It belongs to, the Marine Corps, the Navy.
Yes.
So, yeah, they finally signed agreements just in a matter of weeks ago that it's going to allow us commercial access. Now, to throw another monkey wrench into it, it was damaged during Hurricane Florence.
Of course it was. Yeah.
So
What was
they're
it? Yeah.
they're
Right.
spending millions of dollars to repair and upgrade that rail line, which is probably going to take a couple of years. But during that time, we're going to be working to develop business opportunities along that rail line, because there's
That
a
would be
lot
awesome.
of land if you look at the map
Right.
between Piney Green and the county line, where you could develop some kind of business
What
that
would really
uses the
be
rail.
great if we had a port here in Onslow County to
Well,
go
where are we
along
gonna
with
put the
that.
port?
Oh, I was just saying it would be great
Yeah.
if we had
Yeah.
one.
We
Yeah.
can't create one, but let me ask you this: what does the commercial access to the rail line? What will that allow to be done?
Well, the thing that affects me that I hear about most as a realtor
Mhm.
is building materials.
Right.
Okay.
Because we spend huge amounts. We spend more money on building materials here
Mhm.
than they do in other
Mhm.
places in North Carolina, because the only
We
way to
can't
get
get
them
'em,
here is
yeah.
by 18-wheel truck.
Got it. Okay.
And the roads aren't that great getting
Mhm.
here from Raleigh.
I agree with that
So
too.
yeah, if we bring in building materials by rail,
Mhm.
it could save our people, our population
Lots
a
of
lot of
money.
money.
So we would
Yes.
just need a place basically built to offload goods.
Right.
Okay.
What you would want to do is build, facilities to collect and
Mhm.
distribute
Like a
those
warehouse
kind of
kind of. Yeah.
materials. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
And there you go, more
now
jobs.
let
I
me
like
tell you
it.
a couple other cool things happening though, because
Okay.
Jackson Alonzo Economic Development has worked with the city of Jacksonville
Mhm.
recently to we've secured about $1.5 million in grant funding to develop the Jacksonville Business Park. And the Jacksonville Business Park is up there off the Williamsburg Plantation,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Williamsburg Parkway, and we're going to be able to. They're going to be able to install the infrastructure for about 30 or 40 more acres of Jacksonville Business Park. Um, and the money will be used to extend the road and to put in
Yay.
um, stormwater retention ponds and all that kind of infrastructure that has to be there. And we've already worked with a private developer who's going to come in and build a speculative building. Going to build a 30,000 square foot building, and when they sell that building, they'll repay the money
Okay.
that they were kind of advanced.
Mhm.
Right.
And that money, some of that money will go back to the Economic Development Partnership to be used in a revolving loan fund that we've
Okay.
set up.
So they can
That's
use it
good.
for something
Yes.
else. Okay.
And then of
If
course
you're,
we reap the benefits from the taxes for the
That's right.
property
That's
tax.
right. Onslow County will get property taxes off of that.
That's
And
good.
you got to remember, if you remember back years ago when the county did a building in Burton Park, and the
Mhm.
county had to put up the money,
That's
and then the
right.
county was on the hook for years until we actually sold the building to recoup our money. The idea is when there's another need for a building, um, Joed will have the money to do it, so we don't
Right.
have to go into the county and ask for money to build these speculative buildings that we need in Onslow County. So, um,
Well, I just got text a question by
all right.
actually a coworker. So one of the things they wanted me to ask you was, and this has to do with Burton Park actually. What has that guy, developer, has he started
Trask.
construct? Yes,
It's
that's it.
Trask
Has he
Land Company.
started working on his project that's in Burton Park yet?
No, they're doing engineering and drawing
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. But we were held up first of all by EPA.
Mhm.
They had
Of
to
course.
redraw the wetlands
Mhm.
lines,
Right.
and that took
Months.
months and months.
Mhm.
I understand that we have received the those new maps, so that is taken care of.
Good.
So now, they have to go in and look at where they can build and
Mhm.
what they can build on it. So
Right.
it's a situation where they're working on, drafting, engineering, surveying, that kind of stuff.
Are more businesses starting to look at Burton Park now that this guy is scheduled to do his thing? I mean, because often people want to get in on the action.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know of any
Okay.
personally, but that doesn't mean that other commissioners
Mhm.
might not know of somebody.
Right. Okay.
Joe Ed
Or
might know of
Trask
somebody.
Land Company may
Trask-
know too. They
Yeah.
may have a list of people
Yeah.
wanting to come in.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no telling.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Good question.
Well,
What-
hold on. Let's take a
Oh,
break.
yes.
Stay on
Break time.
task because I know Chris is listening. So
Morning,
Chris,
Chris.
take note. Look at the time. I'm doing it right. So we're here with Commissioner Royce Bennett. If anyone has any questions you would like to ask him, our number is 910-333-0139. We're going to take a very quick commercial break. We will be right back. We're live in Local Real Talk. And we are back, and in the studio we have Commissioner Royce Bennett, who is also running for re-election
Yes.
this fall. So, Lee, did you have some questions?
Yes, I understand that you, along with some of our other commissioners, just came back from the NCACC conference for county commissioners. You want to explain? It's the North Carolina Association, a
Nor-
county. No,
North Carolina Association of County Commissioners.
okay, good.
yeah.
I had it right. I
Yeah.
was getting there. And you just say anything new you learned from there, or
Well, the 5 of us went to Concord.
I love
for
Concord.
the conference. Yeah, it was a pretty nice time.
Did you go by the racetrack?
I didn't go to the racetrack. I went
Okay.
to a baseball game.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but yeah, it was a good conference. There are hundreds of county commissioners there. I don't know how many, like probably 400 county commissioners there, and they and managers and staff. It's an opportunity to network and get to meet other people. And they have seminars all day, every day. I went to a seminar on relating to aging population, and we do have a huge retirement population here that's growing. Even though Kelly's looking at our map book right now, and it's kind of funny looking at the map book because they have the median age of all the counties, and Onslow stands out as the big white blob in the middle of the whole state.
I see
because
that.
we're so young. We're the youngest
Really?
county in the state.
Yes, and according to this, for the population under age 18, we're number
Right.
one.
Yeah, number one. With
Yeah, I've
under
got it pulled up
18
right
Oh,
here.
you're
population.
talking about population based on age. I thought you meant.
No age.
No,
Yeah,
age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that because the median,
Yeah.
the average age
Yeah,
is very
because-
young here.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's
I went to an
military.
aging conference from the youngest county in the state. But we do have a growing, veteran retirement
Right.
population. And I also went to a seminar about engaging our young people in and youth in county government. It's interesting that so many young people have no clue what county government does, what local government
No,
does.
they
for
do
them.
not.
As a matter of fact, I know some of y'all may have met my intern Wyatt Reeves, who has interned with me since the summer. He's a rising junior at Campbell University in political
yes.
science.
Oh.
So I brought him on to try to help him learn about local government. So even in college, they teach them about the state and the federal government and all that,
Right.
but they don't teach much about local government. But I just found out yesterday he earned a $10,000 scholarship for his college next year. So
Awesome.
Good.
that's pretty exciting for him. I congratulate Wyatt. And but another interesting seminar I went to was about volunteer fire service, and I did not realize that New Hanover County is the only county in the state of North Carolina that is totally paid fire service. They don't have volunteers.
Wow.
Even Wake County and Mecklenburg County apparently have some volunteers in their fire departments. And so everybody in the state is struggling with the same issues that we are. Is how do you keep volunteers?
Exactly.
Because the volunteers are getting fewer every year.
Yes, they are.
We
I
had
think it's every organization.
Yeah.
It's not just fire, but
Mhm.
most every organization.
But
People just don't put in the hours they used to.
But a fire is necessary. We
Yes,
need those volunteer
absolutely. We gotta
firefighters. I
have
mean,
them.
that's probably the
our
biggest
last,
thing we need.
Yeah, our last study indicated that if we had to go to all paid services, it would cost us $25 million a year.
Yeah.
And double our taxes too.
Absolutely.
We'd have to pay for it.
That's 12, 14 cents in your on tax rates on the
So what's your thoughts on beefing up volunteerism?
Well, we're doing everything we can to support the volunteer fire departments. We, in this year's budget, we allocated 3 cents of your property tax directly for the volunteer fire departments to support them, because not only do they have to go through all this training, but then they got to go try to raise money. They got to try to have fundraisers, And so the more we can do to support them so they don't have to spend their time doing fundraisers, trying to raise
Right.
money, we're going to pay off some of their capital debt, debt that they've incurred buying new fire equipment and building buildings. We're going to be able to help with some of that and take that burden off of them. And it'll give them a consistent 3 cents ought to be $6 million,
That's good.
around
Yes.
$6 million every year
I mean, I don't
support
mind
them.
paying for that as a
Well,
taxpayer. I don't mind one
And we're
bit.
putting some paid staff in the volunteer fire departments because it
Oh.
seems that the worst time to get volunteers is during the daytime when
Mhm.
everybody's at work. So if you put one or two paid people in there during the daytime, if the volunteers can answer the calls at night, then we can help.
That's good.
Could it be
Great.
feasible to offer like an incentive to people that wanted to be a volunteer? Like if you become a volunteer firefighter for Onslow County, for example, you get a reduction in your property taxes. I mean, is that allowed?
Well, we can't do that under the state law. We have to tax
Everybody
everybody
equally.
the same.
Well, see, I
And
don't like that.
if
There should be an incentive.
if the legislature were to
Mhm.
pass an incentive like that statewide,
Mhm.
then they could do that. But
Well, then I think our legislators need to get together and possibly, because I find it hard to believe that Onslow County is the only county in the state that has a problem securing volunteer firefighters. I would think this is probably
Right.
across the
It's
state.
everywhere,
It
I'm
is.
So,
sure.
since we have lawmakers that oftentimes pass what I think are nonsense stuff, this is something that is not nonsense. So maybe they should look at it and say, this is something, let's offer an incentive.
Well,
Businesses offer
they
incentives.
should certainly be
Yeah.
looking at incentives, whether it's property tax
Mhm.
or some kind of income tax
Absolutely.
break
Something, an income
or
tax, a property tax, something to make it attractive for someone that would like say, oh, you know what, I get a reduction in this if I volunteer. All right, I'll do this. Yeah.
yeah. There needs to be some way to help compensate. But it is a statewide problem. Everybody's dealing with it,
I thought so.
and we learned that in that seminar. Some of the interesting solutions that other counties have done was they had a couple of counties that formed. Can't remember what they call it now, but they had a squad of 4 people that was centrally located, and anytime there was a fire call, they loaded them all in the truck, and they answered the call with the volunteers. Because to keep the ISO rating down, they have to have a certain number of people
Correct.
to go to each fire call. So if they had 1 or 2 people from their volunteers show up, and then you got 4 paid guys that show up, then you can count that toward the response that they need. So I don't know. All these rules are ridiculous, actually.
Well, let me ask you this.
Wait, before you do that, we're going to
Okay.
take another break.
Oh,
Look
it's
at the
time
time.
again.
Yep, it's
Okay.
gone by very quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to take another commercial break. We're live in Local Real Talk. We're sitting here having a chat with Commissioner Royce Bennett. So if you have any questions, give us a call, 910-333-0139. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back, and in the studio we have guest Commissioner Royce Bennett in here this morning. So anyway, okay, because I know Lee had a question for you.
Yes, I did. As far as can give us some information on the Disaster Recovery Alliance
Oh,
for
sure.
Onslow
Yeah.
County.
After Hurricane Florence, I realized that there were a lot of people suffering, and there was no, there was grants and gifts that were offered to Onslow County that we couldn't take because we didn't have an organization here to accept that kind of grant. So along with Raquel Painter at United Way, we started the Onslow Strong Disaster Recovery Alliance. I'm
Right.
vice chair of that organization right now. But the Disaster Recovery Alliance is a long-term recovery organization. And after that, we started getting some. We got some grant funding. We brought together other organizations like WARM, Wilmington Area Recovery Mission. The state long-term recovery group. We brought all these together, and we also got donations of furniture and things like that. So over the years now, we've been able to help hundreds of people who still have, and as a matter of fact, I think the last meeting there were like 134 or something
Wow.
people that we have accepted applications for that we can go help when we get the money and the help the volunteers go do the work. So these are people that are still have damage from Hurricane Florence 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago that can't, or is it 4 years this year in it? Yeah. Anyway, it seems like forever, but there was so much damage in Onslow
Right.
County
There
that
was.
it was a very hard storm to evaluate the damage
Right.
because there was so much hidden damage.
Yes.
So we're still recovering. If you ride around, you can still see the blue
I
tarps.
saw some
Yes.
yesterday looking
Yeah.
at houses with my
So,
daughter. So
I
yeah.
still see the trash along the side of the road too.
I would tell
Sorry,
people,
I can't let it go.
if you still have damage from Hurricane Florence, 211, call 211,
211.
and they can put you in touch with Onslow Strong Disaster Recovery Alliance, and put you in touch with some of these organizations that have funding and people available to maybe help you get your damage repaired.
That's good because I think a lot of people do not realize that they can still file a claim or seek assistance in some way. I mean, I think some people
Right.
think, so much time has passed, I can't, but that's not true,
That's right. You still have some resources available for them.
which is good.
That's good because having resources and having organizations and volunteers, et cetera, to help the people. That's one thing I know about Onslow County. Whenever we do have any type of disaster, the way the people come together.
Absolutely.
I just love this community for that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you found out some interesting information too.
I did. Royce had brought in this,
So that's called a map book.
It's a map book.
And the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners puts that together every year for the county commissioners. It has information about all of the counties in the state, and shows you the difference between the counties.
Right.
Yes. And one of the things I found, I was looking all through it, but the thing that really jumped out at me, so there's a section on here, it says taxable property per capita. Onslow County, now remember, there's 100 counties in the state of North Carolina.
Right.
We are number 93.
93.
In
which means there's 92
taxable
counties
property
above
value.
us. That's
So,
right.
in other words, we have one of the lowest property value, tax values in the state. There are only 7 more that have less than us.
That's right.
So I want to put that out there. And we're, according to this, the valuation in thousands puts us at 62 to 92,000 of the valuation. So for all those people complaining about taxes, property taxes and assessed property valuation, we are like in the top, lowest in the state.
That's right.
Yeah. So yay.
That's awesome to know.
And what I can't fathom is, would you believe number 1 is Dare? Dare. That's wild to me because that's just so rural.
Well,
but,
that's beach.
But it's prime real estate.
It's all
Right.
beach
Yeah, it's all
property,
beach.
yeah.
But yeah, this was very interesting. And so I think for people that complain, y'all better be thankful that we are like number 93.
Oh,
in the
I'm
state.
thankful.
believe we're in the lowest half of the tax rate.
Yes.
So, you know,
There
we
is
have
no other rate
right,
after the rate we're in.
right,
We are in the lowest. There's nothing
right,
lower than our
That's
rate.
right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome to know.
you know, so we really are frugal with the taxpayers' money, but
Right.
it's a challenge when,
Mhm.
you know, only when 40% of your property is not taxable.
Mhm.
And that's why we have such a low per capita value,
Mhm.
Right.
because only 60% of our property has value at
Well,
all
I
for the
want to ask you
taxpayer.
another question after we do
Well, we got to
Fox
take a quick break.
News.
We got to take our Fox News break.
That's right.
60-second break. We're live in local real talk, and we have a caller. So callers, stay on the. Oh, they hung up. I think it was a spam call. But we will take our quick break, and we'll be right back. And we are back, and our guest in the studio this morning is Commissioner Royce Bennett, and we are talking to him about his, campaign for reelection. We're also talking about the kind of the things he's involved in, the goings on in the county. If you have any questions, you can give us a call, and you can ask him at 910-333-0139. So I know I interrupted you for the break, but
Oh,
so
that's okay.
what are some of the other things that you want to discuss?
Right. I know one of the big things right now on everybody's plate, everybody's conversation is a swimming pool.
Mhm.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, just like I said in the first half hour there, people have been talking about a swimming pool here for a long time. I
Yes, they
know
have.
since
Mhm.
2015, 16, when I started running, people were real wanted a swimming pool, and that's one of the reasons that I helped found the YMCA. Well, we've not really been able to. I mean, the YMCA is doing great. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, like I said, I went to a YMCA meeting yesterday morning. The YMCA is serving hundreds and hundreds of kids in Onslow County right now, and raising money. The YMCA is raising money for a potential swimming pool,
Okay.
activity, YMCA center. You know, the YMCA here is 3 years old now. I mean,
Yes.
it just started.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we opened up we opened up like a month before, like 3 months. I think it was January 20,
Mhm.
right before hurricane. I mean, right before
I remember.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, 3 months after we opened the doors, pandemic shut everything down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's not even fair to say that the YMCA is 3 years old, but it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
And in 3 years, we've done a whole lot. We've grown from a $500,000 a year budget to a $2 million a year budget.
Oh wow.
And we're saving up,
Mhm.
and there's just not been any opportunities presented until the state legislature passed the current budget,
Mhm.
which includes $500,000 for a swimming pool in Onslow County.
Okay.
And that'll be some good seed money.
Mhm.
As I've been told by Representative Shepherd, that money is going to go to Onslow County,
Mhm.
and Onslow County is going to have to proportion or send or
Like allocated.
allocate it to. I don't think they designated it to the YMCA, but they designated it for a pool.
Right.
So how that ends up happening, I don't know.
maybe like a
Yeah.
bid process on who, put a
Well-
bunch of bids in. Oh, yep,
What-
this is Dr. Rose.
Dr.
Okay.
Rose,
Pause
yeah.
that for a
Put that on
second.
hold.
Good morning, Dr. Rose. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're good. Good.
Good
Yep.
morning.
You've got Lee, myself, and Lee are in here, and we have Commissioner Royce Bennett who's in here as well, and he actually has a question for you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Dr. Rose. I don't think I've talked to you since you were campaigning way back in, when was it, 16?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, it's my pleasure to speak with you again. What can I do for you?
But I get to listen to you almost every Wednesday, so we appreciate what you're doing for our kids in North Carolina. I wanted to ask
Thank
you
you.
about polio. I mean, I'm a member of the Rotary Club, and we've worked to eradicate polio across the world for many years now. Just a year ago, we thought we had it whipped. I mean, down to 1 or 2 countries in the entire world that had polio, and now all of a sudden we got a resurgence. So
Yeah, it's interesting to see these cycles of illnesses. I haven't kept up with the numbers of polio recently. It hasn't been one of the things that we're currently following in stateside regarding pediatrics. So why don't you tell me what you have heard about so that I can ponder on that for you?
well, I mean, I've just heard that they've got cases in New York,
Mhm.
and they're starting to test. They're testing the sewage water in Los Angeles and
Yep.
New York and some of the other big cities because obviously they're finding the polio virus in the discharge, and that indicates that it's spreading. So
Yeah, it's a little concerning.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is very scary. Oh, yeah, I agree.
Just
with you.
add
How
another
many-
one to the list.
Do you know how many cases they've seen in New York?
I'll pull it up and tell you if you give me 1 second.
I don't know.
No problem.
Yeah.
I think kids are still getting vaccinated for polio, aren't they?
No,
They
that's
are.
the- They are.
They're not required
Yeah.
to.
Right.
Actually, well, I don't know if Anson County is different from Alamance County, but I think it's a statewide law. And as far as I know, in North Carolina, to attend school, you have to have your polio vaccinations unless you have some sort of exemption, like a religious exemption or a medical exemption.
Okay.
But I would say that at least 85 to 90% of children that I know, when they're entering school, and that's when, if there were to be a true polio outbreak, that's where children can spread it is in places where they congregate, like schools, Sunday school. So where kids are all together, that's where polio could be spread. But like I said, about 85, maybe 90% of school-age children have been vaccinated against polio. But okay, so
Okay.
what did you see as the numbers?
Well, here's what I found out. So the guy, the CDC is now saying they think polio has been circulating in New York City since April and elsewhere within the state of New York for the past year, because they are analyzing the wastewater from all over the state of New York, and they're finding this. And they're saying it was that one guy who was unvaccinated, and that's kind of what started this, I guess. And he was in the hospital and he had the pathogen. And then they found that this person did not travel internationally when they were exposed and may have caught the virus through local transmissions, what they're saying. So now they're saying the strain the person was exposed to was linked to a weakened form of the virus used in the oral polio vaccine known as vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2. And there it says, since the U.S. stopped oral polio vaccination in 2000, the original transmission of this strain may have emerged from somebody outside the country. So in other words, someone came to New York from another country with whatever strain this guy had. And they're saying the strain behind this guy's case was linked to the vaccine-related polioviruses recently detected in wastewater. So they're saying him, but they think it's been around, and maybe people just haven't contracted it. Other than this one guy, this is kind of scary, though.
It is, but if you decipher it, it's a little convoluted what they're saying. But I think what they're saying in the end is that it was somebody from overseas brought it over.
Yes.
And because somebody also took the oral polio, which I can't see why you would do that anymore. It's not really available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know why somebody would have had the oral polio, and you can indeed contract oral polio from oral polio. In fact, back when we were vaccinating children with oral polio, I think it was something like you knew that you had the chance, at least 1 in 1,000, of contracting actual polio with all of its symptoms from the oral polio. Even if you were semi-vaccinated, you were partially vaccinated, you could contract polio from getting the oral polio vaccine. So that's why it was taken off the market, because we determined that 1 in 1,000 was too much for us. And then the injectable polio had almost as good, not quite as good, a rate of creating effective antibodies. And so at that point, and it was not infecting us. And so that's why the injectable polio came on in the 90s, I believe. So you need, if to be able to decipher what they're saying, you need to know the history. As far as I know, the oral polio vaccine has not been around since maybe 2000, 2005. I have not seen it.
Yeah, it says the U.S. stopped it in 2000. And it's also saying apparently they did a virus genome analysis of this guy's virus because he's been in the hospital for it. And this particular strain, in his case, was linked to vaccine-related polioviruses that was recently detected in Israel and the UK in their wastewater. So it's feasible to say that someone from either Israel or the UK that traveled and then somehow came in some kind of contact with this guy in some way.
I know that Rotary in many of these really hard to get to countries has still been given the oral vaccine because it's so much easier to
probably
get,
cheaper.
Get kids and put a drop in their mouth than it is to try to get them a shot in places where they don't trust medicines and they don't trust shots.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you, Dr. Rose, now the polio vaccine is actually a real vaccine, right? Once you get it, you get the vaccine, you're not going to get polio, unlike some of the more recent vaccines that you can still contract the disease after getting the vaccine.
I know that the oral polio was a live vaccine. Regarding the injected polio, if I remember correctly, it is not a live attenuated vaccine.
Right.
But I do have to look that up. I have not seen any children have even mild symptoms of polio from the injectable polio vaccine. But to go back to the case of the oral polio and the guy that was not vaccinated, etc. It's once again, it's a little too convoluted to make heads or tails out of it. I have to remember also that I'm a fully vaccinated child from New York City. In spite of that, I caught pertussis. I caught the measles. So I think this thing of constantly blaming the people that are not fully vaccinated has got to stop, because there is a lot of vaccine failure. It doesn't mean that this person's parent did something terrible or didn't or even he did not want to be vaccinated, which I can't see how you could not want to be vaccinated when you're an infant. Something happened in his childhood that he was or wasn't vaccinated. But to point that out like he's a leper, I think we have to sort of stop that, because vaccines sometimes don't work. I was really sick from both of those illnesses. I was fully vaccinated. Vaccines sometimes wear off. as an adult, you can still spread things. And in this completely international world, there are good things and bad things. And some of the bad things is that scary stuff comes from other countries sometimes, and vice versa. And we just have to understand that with all of this, there's a risk. Polio is very scary. I am glad that you guys brought this up to me, because when parents come in and they ask me about the need for certain vaccines, really polio is on my lower list of, okay, if you want to space them out, these are the ones that you want right now. These are the ones that you may want to wait on. And, I'll have to look a little bit further into the polio and to assess today's children's real risk, because the risk changes, just like climate changes naturally, risk changes naturally for diseases, and we will see illnesses pop up and leave periodically. It's a normal thing in time. We haven't seen polio like this in the last, I would say, probably 50 years, but things change, and our vaccines may not be as effective in stopping the new strains of polio, if there are any new strains, as we thought they were in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
Well, let me ask you this question. Is there anything in the last, let's say, since we talked to you last week, that you've seen trending now that schools are starting to go back in session, but trending with kids, even just here in North Carolina? Is anything ramping up? Strep throat, stomach viruses, chickenpox, whatever. Are you seeing an increase in anything currently?
Oh yes, we are already seeing an increase in some untypable virus. What is it? I have not been able to type this, but it's not necessarily strep. We have seen cases of strep here and there. It's not flu. In the last 2 weeks, I don't think we've had a flu positive. And they're not coming back. Whenever they're strep negative and flu negative, we automatically, if I can't find another source of infection, we're automatically testing them for COVID. In the last 2 weeks, we've had, and so that's about, I'd say 50, 60 COVID tests that we've run. We've had 2 positives. So it doesn't seem, it's either not typable COVID from the antigen test, or not the rapid test, but the slower test. So it's either non-typable, so it's not coming back positive, or it's some other type of virus that we don't know what that is. And a whole bunch of kids have it. They have muscle aches. They feel terrible. For all intents and purposes, it acts like the flu or like COVID, but it's not typable. And I'm seeing a lot of it. Kids recuperate just fine. The adults get it maybe a little bit less than children do. And when they do, they recuperate just fine as well. But I'm seeing a lot of this.
Oh, wow. And how long are they sick for? 5 days, 3 days, or does it vary amongst the child?
No, it's about 3 to 4 days at the most. On the 3rd day, they're much better. By the 5th day, they have recuperated completely.
So this is something parents need to kind of watch out for, because oftentimes kids, I don't feel good, and parents, sometimes dismiss the kids, but they do. I mean,
I'm sure you hear a lot of that, Dr.
But
Rose.
I mean, it's warm now too.
Yes, I do.
People don't often think. I think a lot of times people have a misconception that kids are only sick in the winter. Like you can't get sickness in the warm summer months. But I've had pneumonia in the summer before. You can get sick anytime.
Well, and what's interesting is what you just said about that the parents will dismiss it, and they'll say, well, he's kind of acting funny and he's not eating well, and we require a temperature so that we know what we're dealing with and we know what advice to give them. And they'll say, but he doesn't have a temperature, so don't make me take a temperature. And sure enough, they go and they get the thermometer out, they stick it in the kid's mouth, or they take it in the ear, and they come back and they say, well, it was 102. So if your child is not feeling well, just so you have the basis of information so that you can make a good decision, just take the temperature.
Oh, wow.
Kids are funny that way. They tolerate a higher temperature without you even realizing it. And sometimes the hand is good, but it may not be good enough to figure out if they actually have a fever or not.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, I have one thing I want to say. All these things that are coming up. I mean, we've had mad cow, bird flu, monkeypox, COVID, polio, and now the untypable virus. And my question is, do we go to a medical doctor or a veterinarian? I mean, it's just unreal.
You know, it's almost comedic, but not quite, because it's true. It's all these names with all these animals, and we don't even know. I mean, remember that COVID came from bats and monkeypox and all these different things. Well, I'm not so sure the veterinarian would be able to solve the problem within us. And I think a lot of common sense and balance in figuring out, okay, is this something that I can try to handle myself, or is it something that needs a call and a visit to the doctor?
Right.
And there's a point there where you have to just let common sense drive you. With children, I would like to say, once you bring me into it, I'd like to see the child, because I certainly don't want to leave the child home and not have seen him. And make a decision over your child and have made the wrong one. But there are a lot of things that common sense says, that give him some Tylenol or some ibuprofen, let him rest, don't overcover him, and give him lots of liquids and watch him over the next few hours. I would certainly also say that if a temperature is over 102, that it's best to call your doctor or have your child checked out, just because at that point it may be a lot of different things that can make the child very ill, and you just want to know. Temperatures usually tend to spike up in the middle of the night, and we don't want to have to be rushing in the middle of the night and find ourselves with a completely full ER. Mm-hmm. So when you do have those temperatures, parents, make sure you take care of them during the day, that you answer your own questions, and don't leave it until you have very, very little resources to be able to take care of your kids.
All right. Well,
as always, excellent information.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Rose. And you will be here again next week, correct?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
We are too.
Well, thank you very much. And we will talk to you next week.
Thank you. Talk to you next week.
Have a good week. Bye. All right, we're going to take a break. We're live in Local Real Talk. We'll come back, do some weather, and continue our conversation with Commissioner Royce Bennett. We're live in Local Real Talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM, WSME. Okay, and we are back, and we're going to do a quick bout of weather and then
Yeah.
get back to our conversation.
And just keep you updated on the tropical outlook. A tropical wave over Honduras in the northwestern Caribbean Sea is forecast to move across Central America during the next couple of days and emerge over the Bay of Campeche.
Campeche. I've
Campeche.
heard
Gotcha.
Rutherford say it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where an area of low pressure could form on Friday. Some gradual development of this system is possible while it moves northwestward over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico through the weekend. Formation chance through the 48 hours is low, near 0%. Formation chance through 5 days, low with a 20% chance. And so that's good news right now.
Mhm.
So hopefully the rest of the season will stay real quiet.
We'll see.
But our marine forecast is brought to you by Tideline Marine, who has a huge sale going on through August 31st on water toys. With towable tubes marked down, you might want to take advantage of the savings and stock up for some neat Christmas gifts, which will just really make your loved one look forward to our next summer. If you think you want to buy a new John boat or a bay boat, Tideline has a sale on any new boat currently in stock. $5,000 off any new boat that you buy between now and the end of August. Along with the savings, Tideline will throw in a bag of 4 life jackets. Tideline Marine, 159 Oak Ridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Today, northeast winds 15 to 20 knots with gust up to 25 knots, diminishing 10 to 15 knots with gust up to 20 knots this afternoon. Seas 2 to 4 feet, dominant period 4 seconds. Thursday, northeast winds around 10 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet, dominant period 6 seconds. And Friday, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet, adjacent sounds and rivers with a light chop.
Today, partly sunny, high of 84. During that partly sunny time, there is chance for showers and thunderstorms, it says. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 65. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 84. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, low of 68. And then on Friday, we have like 60, 70% chance of rain and thunderstorms.
So, Royce, you have a boat?
No.
When would
no
you
boat.
have time
Yeah, I don't
to
have
even
time
go
for a
out?
boat. Yeah, I love to fish, but I don't have time to fish, and so yeah.
Now, we were talking during a commercial break about EMS. So, what kind of information about EMS do you have that needs to be updated?
Right. Yeah. Ever since basically COVID, we've had a shortage of
Mhm.
emergency service personnel, EMTs, paramedics. Our poor folks have been run ragged, and they've been working hard to try to keep up with the increased call volume, and they've done a great job. But we've been trying, since trying for a year or more
Mhm.
to get these people in place so we can be full staff. And we gave them a nice pay raise July the 1st
Yes.
in the new budget to try, and the pay raise seems to be working because from I think July the 1st we had about 20 openings, and last I heard we were down to 3.
Oh,
So
awesome.
That is good news.
That's a good thing. We still can't staff all of the ambulances
Mhm.
because now you got to train them and you got to bring them,
Yeah.
you got to bring them up to speed. And we have several people that are out on workers comp,
Mhm.
with some injuries that have to come back. But we're getting there. That's the whole-
awesome. That
Yeah.
ought to lessen
Yeah.
a response time, call time
That is
too.
good news. Yeah, when we get these folks on the road with new ambulances, we're going to reduce the response time, which is critical for our folks in
Yes,
Onslow County.
most
Good.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then there was something else that you had mentioned to us before, and I'd love for you to go back over it again. It's through a property check. Explain that.
Yes. So, if you watch a lot of TV commercials, you'll see commercials telling you that if you'll pay somebody $10 a month or something, that they'll make sure that nobody steals the title to your house.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, in Onslow County, you have a free option to make sure that nobody steals the title to your house. You can go to the Register of Deeds website. Just go to onslowcountync.gov, onslowcountync.gov, and you look up property check or look up the Register of Deeds website and follow the link to property check. And every property that you own in Onslow County, you can put in your name and your email address, And if anybody files any liens or mortgages against your title, against the deed to your house,
Mhm.
they'll send you an email and say, hey, somebody filed a lien against your house, and you have an opportunity at that point to stop whatever kind of fraud may be going on before they take out a mortgage and own your house, basically. So yeah, you want to do that. Go to Property Check and sign up. I actually did it several years ago for my house, and then last year or so when I refinanced,
Mhm.
I got the email
Right.
like immediately. It said, "Hey, there's been a change to the title of your house," and I said, "Well,
I'll put all
that's
that
good."
information in the link on our Facebook page
Okay.
for
I
people.
know it actually works. I
Right.
put a flyer on my Facebook page several weeks ago.
Well, I'll just go to that and
You
share
can
it
probably
then.
find that and
Yes,
share it.
I'll do
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great. But I want people to know about that because
It's a
they're
good thing to
seeing these
know.
commercials, and I keep seeing the commercials, and I think, what a great business. See, now
Right.
I could sign up to check your house, and it can get me to, you can get you to pay me $10
Nice
a
try.
month,
Yeah,
and
nice
then
try. Nice try.
and it doesn't cost me anything to do it.
Right. I'm all for
that's a
free
scam.
services.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
is something that's there for our citizens, and they need to know about it.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a caller who may have a question.
All
Caller,
right.
who's this?
This is Mike McKee out in Swansboro.
Hey,
How you guys
Oh,
doing?
How are you?
hello. We were just talking about
Good.
you earlier.
Yeah. What's up?
Well, my ears are ringing. I heard you talk about yesterday, like getting an update to our event we held
Yes.
last Thursday here in Swansboro. It was successful for those that came out to it, and we had a good discussion of 2 hours. And Kelly, I wish you had been there because the topic of discussion quickly morphed into a mental health discussion and the lack of facilities. So perhaps next time,
Yes, give
we'll
me
get
enough
you out there.
notice
But
so I can rearrange my schedule because I have clients on Thursday evenings. But yeah, if you
Yeah.
give me enough notice, I can move some people around.
it was good discussion from the stage. We could have used your insight as well. There, we had the sheriffs from Carteret and Onslow County, Asa Buck and Hans Miller, high school principal from Croatan, Kay Zamorino, and a family counselor. And really, what kind of weighted the discussion was at the last minute, a family wished to be part of the stage at the dais. The Kidwells, they lost their son Ricky to suicide in April. So it's very difficult to discuss that, but they wanted to put it out there because they're beginning a nonprofit called Ricky's Retreat here out in Swansboro. So they wanted to talk about that and talk about their 4-year struggle with his addiction and subsequent his suicide. So the sheriffs pretty much pivoted and started talking about mental health, the facilities, the lack thereof, and just the prevalence of mental health issues in our community.
Yes,
And I know you know that firsthand.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, Commissioner Royce Bennett.
Good morning, Mike. Good
There you are.
talking to
There you are. Yeah. Well, so we plan on having another one. Where and when we're not certain yet, but we're trying to lit the candle now. So we'll see
It's
where
good.
it goes.
It's good
goes
news. I'm
from here.
glad it went well.
Yeah.
I'll definitely going to make the next one.
The Channel 9, the CBS affiliate of the NCT, covered it. So they have it up on their Facebook page, on their website, and we have it linked on the Swansboro Area Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. If you want to get a little flavor of the evening,
All right.
you can go there and check it out. So, Commissioner Bennett, I was interested, you piqued my interest when you talked about the YMCA and the possibility of $500,000 coming down our way to see the pool in Onslow County. I think it's much needed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate you bringing that back up. We were trying to get back to it after the break with Dr. Rosemary, but that money is there are a lot of nonprofits in Onslow County, but the YMCA is the only one that's known for swimming pools.
Correct.
The YMCA has a swimming pool in New Bern that is self-sufficient.
Mhm.
sustains.
Mhm.
The YMCA has swimming pools all over the United States
Yeah,
that
that's
are
where I learned to swim.
self-sufficient.
That's where I
Right.
learned to
Yeah.
swim.
And
Yeah.
one of the concerns that I've heard from county commissioners, and my concern is, we don't want to be responsible for spending taxpayer money year after year after year,
Right.
lots of taxpayer money
Right.
to
Mhm.
maintain a swimming pool.
Yeah.
So the idea is if we can get that money to the YMCA, and we can maybe seed some money and get some public-private partnerships. We're going to get
Yep.
we're going to get private investment in something like this. The YMCA is going to raise money for the pool. Other entities have stated that they could contribute. We can get enough money together to build this pool. Then the YMCA can run it and maintain it, and it won't be a constant burden on the taxpayers of Onslow County. And I've heard that some of the other nonprofits may want a piece of the money, but I've talked to all of the major ones personally, and nobody is interested in running a swimming pool besides the YMCA.
Well, yeah, and that's money that's earmarked for a pool. So, a lot of times nonprofits, and I own one, so I can speak for that. They look at money, but I would not get in the pool business. That to me, that needs to be the YMCA because that's what they're known
Yeah,
for.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of liability in there.
Yeah.
The money pit.
Yeah.
Royce has and educate me, and I apologize if I sound ignorant here, but the YMCA that's been around for about 3 years in Onslow County. Do they have a site chosen for it, or is it just kind of something that's still planning?
No, for a pool, there's not a site. The first step in this process would be to do a feasibility study,
Mhm.
and let's have somebody poll the community and find out what kind of support we're going to be able to have, what kind of what kind of support we're going to be able to get to maintain the pool, what kind of membership we can get for people that are willing to pay, what other organizations would use it, and where the most feasible location would be. You want a great location that's easy to get to,
Mhm.
but then you got to weigh that with how much it's going to cost to secure the land. So
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at a beautiful parcel of land behind the chamber office here in Swansboro at the rec center. And Royce, I know you know it well. And there's always been talk out in Swansboro for decades about a freshwater pool, which we don't have. And I may have to contact Mayor Davis to get him to swerve out of his lane a little bit and go after that that prize and bring the pool to Swansboro. I think it would be great out here. The town I grew up in, Pennsylvania. I know people hate when I talk about Pennsylvania, and I'm a Yankee, but we probably had 10 municipal pools in that town, and that's where you went in the summertime. You always went to the pool, and at night they had meets there, and then during the day you just recreated. It was fun. But we had probably about 10 pools in the city of Allentown. Much bigger city, but about half the population of Onslow County. So it's figure it out. I hope that becomes a reality in my lifetime, because I would patronize it. I would pay for that, and I would support it. A public pool.
I'm an Onslow County Commissioner. I support a pool wherever it's feasible. If it's Swansboro, if it's Jacksonville,
Can we
if it's
have one
Richlands, that's fine with me.
Kind of right next door to Northwoods.
Stop. You can. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of good locations,
Yes,
throughout the county. And I guess because of the expense, you almost have to think singularly, but you like to talk in multiple.
I was just going to say, we don't have to.
Richlands.
We don't have to
limited
stop
ourselves
with
to one,
one.
Kelly.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm all about
We'll
it.
start in Swansboro and work west.
I hear you.
All right. Well, Mike,
The sun rises in the east.
All
right, thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks,
All right.
Mike.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right, let's take a break. We're live in local real talk, and we'll get back to our chat with Commissioner Bennett in just after about 3.5 commercials. And we are back, and we are going to wrap it up with Commissioner Royce Bennett this morning, who has been in here talking about a whole lot of good information.
Yeah, and you have a big event coming up on August 27th, Saturday.
I do. Saturday, August 27th at 2820 Henderson Drive. We're calling it a back to school picnic. So
Yeah, I like
it's
it.
right at back to school time. We're going to ask folks to bring a donation for the CHEW program, children healthy eating on
Mhm.
weekends. It's a great program that makes sure that these kids have, some of these kids that only get to eat during the school week, have something on the weekend. So we're going to ask you to bring a donation and come on by. We'll have lunch from 12 to 3
Mhm.
on August the 27th at 2820 Henderson Drive.
And I hear you're having barbecue.
Yeah, that's what they
and
tell me.
Hot dogs
Yeah.
on the grill.
You're gonna have some barbecue and some hot dogs. So you bring your kids. Maybe I try to have my grandkids there, and
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
we'll have a chance to talk
and-
a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you have questions about the county, I haven't had time to talk about today, then you can certainly talk to me about it. Of course, you can always call me if you want to talk about the county. My phone number's out there. It's 910-389-9638. I take phone calls from constituents all the time. I'm happy to do that. But we'd love to see you on Saturday, August the 27th
Yeah.
at 2820 Henderson Drive, 12 to 3.
And it's the Henderson Drive extension that runs between Western Boulevard and Gum Branch Road. So that section right there.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
easy to
right,
find.
right across, right next to Real Low Drugs.
That's
Mhm.
right.
So, yeah.
And you'll
We'll
know.
have all kinds of signs out
Right.
there. It'll look like a campaign. It'll look like a voting precinct.
Maybe we
We'll
have a
signs
caller now.
That's
everywhere.
good, though.
Yeah.
We have a caller. Caller, who's this?
Hi, yes, this is Bill. I was just calling to say I hear the talk about pools, etc. Now I know the Jacksonville Country Club has a pool.
Yes.
I know they have. I think it's Courts Plus had a pool.
Mhm.
Right.
There was another one on Doris that they had closed right after 9/11. The Moose Lodge had a pool.
Yeah, that's
And I was
right.
just wondering, I guess, where, if they're looking for a public pool, if they wouldn't contract for, schools to swim there and learn how to swim, or could make a place in the New River to learn how to swim.
Hey,
I know I had learned, right at the beach growing up in Massachusetts, I had learned how to swim at the beach and ride topsail or, some of the beaches here in the county don't have the swimming lessons right at the beach. I don't know.
No, they don't. And one of the things I do know that has been discussed with a county pool per se or public pool is so that the schools could use those facilities to be able to train and have their practices and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that has
For school
for the
teams.
school teams, yes, because it's very much needed here.
The schools have been a partner in the conversations
Yeah.
that we've had, and the proposal is to build a competition size,
Like Olympic size pool,
Olympic
yeah.
size pool that they can use for competition, and that will bring revenue to the
It
county
will,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Swim competitions.
I'm not sure if how much money it would bring with the upkeep of the pool, etc. How much they would pay, One other thing I remember, for disaster relief, the Red Cross was always a big disaster relief organization. I noticed they had moved to Wilmington, and then the Salvation Army was also a big disaster relief organization. Yet they hadn't been really used in recent years for disaster relief. And I was wondering, why that was, if that was sort of something that they didn't want to do anymore, or it was something that people were just overlooking to say, well, we have to form something like, Samaritan's Purse, to do this kind of thing the way they did the last storm. But again, I'm not sure if they had left the disaster relief business, as far as Red Cross, etc., and the Salvation Army.
Now, those organizations are still here. They're still doing great work. The Salvation Army has been been involved in every disaster, and the Red Cross. They both have a seat at our emergency operations center
Mhm.
during an emergency. Um, the last, well, of course, Florence was really the last emergency that we used Salvation Army and Red Cross. Red Cross runs our emergency shelters, so they are responsible for that. Salvation Army works on helping to feed and clothe and house people who are impacted by a disaster. So yeah, those organizations are still a vital part of our emergency response.
Well, good questions,
Yeah.
caller. Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in. We really appreciate those.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
I got to finish up, huh?
Yep, but we got to take a break, so we're going to finish up because I have a question for you when we come back. So,
Uh-oh.
real quick,
Okay.
with our very last commercial break, we're live in local real talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. We'll be right back. All right, and we're wrapping up this morning with Commissioner Royce Bennett. And Commissioner, I had a question for you. So, what is your platform for your upcoming run? I guess I don't know what word I'd
Yeah,
use.
it's campaign.
Yeah, campaign. Thank you.
Yeah.
Geez, I couldn't get the word out. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. We talked about me being on the bottom of the ballot, and that's kind of like most people. I've always
Right.
started at the bottom, so it doesn't bother me to start at the bottom. I started at the bottom in law enforcement years ago. As a patrol officer, worked my way up in the police department. I started at the bottom in my businesses, and continue to work to improve my businesses. And I'll be starting at the bottom at the campaign. I start at the bottom with our spending, trying to control spending and make sure that we budget physically sound for Onslow County. I start at the bottom to create prosperity for Onslow County citizens with our economic development partnership. We work to help existing businesses to grow and to bring in new businesses to Onslow County. I start at the bottom, working on community needs, meeting with these organizations, many of which we've talked about this morning, and I'll be meeting in just a few hours with Duke Energy representatives, talking about the resilience for storm resilience for Duke Energy. And this afternoon, I'll be meeting with a community group that talks about community issues. So I get out there with the community every chance I get, and I'll be with the community on August the 27th if you want to come talk to me. But I start at the bottom, meeting community needs, and I'm going to continue to do that. And if you'll help me, then on November the 8th, I'll start at the bottom, be at the bottom of the ballot, and I would ask you to vote for Royce Bennett, and let's keep Onslow County strong.
Well, we thank you for coming
Yes, we
on this
certainly
morning. And we appreciate you staying on as long as you did, answering our questions and giving us the information and some of the stuff we did not know, which is good information to have. So, and telling the public about your event coming up. So wish you good luck with that, and you're definitely welcome to come back on again anytime between now and the campaign, the election day, to talk about your campaign and stuff. So we'd love to have you back.
Right.
Yep.
You're always welcome.
I'll come every day if you want me to.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to give us a little bit to get some stuff in.
There's plenty to talk about.
Yes, there is plenty to talk about. And it's always good learning about the county government. And I just want to ask you one real quick, I'll make it real fast. Is there any type of intern program for students to actually go into the county government and intern?
We have had interns in the county government, and if students ask for an internship, I think that there's some opportunities there.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to know.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
want to thank Commissioner Bennett for being here. I want to thank everyone for listening. I know we had a caller, but they had the red tone. The red button was popping up, which means there was a tone. We would have had them call back. So, caller, please call back in the morning. We are at the end of our show today, and hopefully the little red tone will not be on there. It lights up red now. Rafe would point that out. That's how we know.
Right.
So,
Right.
But thank everyone for joining us. We will see you back again tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. This is Live and Local Real Talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. Everyone have a great day.